welcome back to That One Metal Blog. We're here with Guilty of Treason, a local band out of our own market here. Guys, tell me a little bit about yourselves.
Well, my name's Emery. I play bass, and I've been with the band since about 2014 when we started.
Yep, we're a heavy metal band out of the Waterloo, Iowa area. We just started playing shows back in March, I believe, was our first show. We're currently working on recording our EP right now, and it's kind of, stuck at home, but we're trying to get out there. We're playing Des Moines August, and we're playing a fundraiser show in September. It's going to be in the Cedar Valley area.
Well, like most general questions for a lot of early starting up bands, like what would you say was the influences that brought you all together to create the sound that you wanted?
I would just say like the desire to have like some shredding guitar and some fast drums and just music that just moves, just primarily what we listen to, anything that moves quick, Metallica or Lamb of God or any of those bands that just have that driving sound really.
Yeah, it was our last band. Everybody kind of had a different preference in what we wanted to do. So our bass player left, our other guitar player. After that, we found people that kind of just had that similar interest, all wanted to make the same kind of music. Emery was taking guitar lessons. We just kind of asked him out of nowhere if he wanted to play bass, and then found Brian, our lead guitar player, playing with a friend of his band, and his guitar playing blew me away. So I got to talking to him, and likes the same kind of stuff. Everybody kind of has that, like, oh yeah, Metallica, Pantera, and then as far as modern stuff, we all like the Lamb of God, Parkway Drive kind of feel. So that's what we're really going for.
Okay. So you guys said that you're going to be playing some shows in Des Moines. You got any other shows lined up currently, or?
At this point, all that we have lined up is the one in Des Moines, and then we have that the Pit for the Pits. It's a big metal show, and it's probably going to be in Waterloo. If I had to guess, they don't have the venue picked out yet, but it's going to be a fundraiser for like a dog rescue association in Waterloo. There's probably going to be about 10 heavy bands playing on that, so it'll be a good time for sure. It's the second event like that they've done too. So
Yeah, the first one had a really good turnout. So.
And what would you say, like, just on a general scale, like, what would you say was the focus, like, lyrically? Because as far as I'm concerned, you're the main lyricist behind it.
Yep. Different things per song. We have two of them that are, I guess, I don't really know how to describe it apart from songs that have like just a fictitious story behind it. We have a song called "Guilty," which is about some leader, 18th century being overthrown by his people, and then we have "Salem," which is about the witch trials. So those don't really have, I guess, any more meaning behind them than that. But other songs, I've just dealt with a lot of things in life that, not that I want to go into a ton of detail, but I've always had problems with anxiety fitting in, that kind of stuff. So I try not to make them like bitchy and whiny about it, but just as seeing a world through that perspective.
More of an overcoming than
just
that's what
wallowing.
I think
Metal has always been about, and they're kind of ruining it now by bitching about stuff in their lyrics as opposed to,
Well, there's always that fine line between, like, you expose the problem, but what are you going to do now? Rather than just letting yourself manifest with it. But, like, all in all, like, with the music scene, would you say that you guys have had a fairly decent amount of exposure this early on, or?
It definitely has picked up a lot quicker than our last band did. I think the stuff we're writing now, it's obviously, we put a lot more time into it, because with our old band, we wrote a few songs and we're like, oh, we're ready to play. Whereas with this band, we didn't have the vocalist for a while, so it was just writing, practicing until we were absolutely ready. At least we felt absolutely ready.
And in regards to that, actually, because I got to see you guys at your first show and a couple later on, and I've heard you, and you've got really great chops. And it kind of now finding this out, what made you want to kind of just be in the back rather than being the man up front?
In our last band, so I was the lead vocalist and guitar player, and it got to the point where playing on stage was an exercise for me because I couldn't leave the mic stand because I was singing all the time. Focusing on what I was playing and singing, just, it's not for me as a person. I like just being able to move around and get into the music I'm playing, and then I still, like doing vocals, so I have those back pieces that I'll do.
So you can have like that good balance where you can actually let out your energy, but also still
Right.
add to that.
Because when we used to play, I was just stuck in one spot. I didn't move around much.
So guys, you mentioned that you have that EP that you guys are working on. When do you guys think that'll be out?
We're shooting for September, if not early October.
Okay.
It'll probably just be like 5 songs, all stuff that we already have written, and we've been working on recording it. Over quite a period of time, we started at least throwing ideas, down, but we've actually been, working on recording guitars and stuff like this past week. So.
Yep. I've got a hard drive full of rough tracks and ideas for songs, and then we actually have been sitting down this last week and said, we're going to make something, and we're not gonna throw anything out, or these are the songs we've decided are going on it. They're going on it.
And you would say that this is like a all team effort. It's not just simply behind one soul.
No, I'm the one running it as far as doing the recording and mixing stuff, but yeah, no, everybody's doing their own thing on it.
I would say everybody throws in, but if we didn't have Alex to actually run the computer and make it sound good, we would be pretty screwed on our own.
It would be potato sessions.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So, it's kind of a weird question, but you got guys like Slipknot, they got their weird pre-show thing. I know you guys have your pre-show orgy that you guys do. What else do you guys do before shows besides just all screwing?
Well, usually we'll take the time and load up a couple cars worth of gear. Occasionally I'll accidentally lock keys inside of a vehicle on the way to a gig or once we get there. But, yeah, usually we just hang out, maybe have a cold beverage and run through practice, run through the set that we want to play rather a couple times. Usually have Brett go easy on the vocals so that he's not totally drained once he's on stage, and then we just head to the venue, unload, and do what we do.
And actually, another question in regards to vocals: what exactly brought Brett into the fold? What was the factor that kind of made you feel drawn to him?
Desperation. So I knew Brett just through my girlfriend knew him, so I asked her to ask him actually if he'd be interested in singing, because I had just heard things that he had been in bands before, and he said he was interested, so he came over, and that first practice, I don't know if we thought anything that great. He knows this isn't going to be a surprise when he sees it, what the hell? He was alright.
Basically though, he got to practice, and we gave him lyrics, but he didn't know where any of them went, so we basically told him yell random stuff, and at least me personally, I saw the potential in his random yelling, I saw a little bit of power and stuff behind his voice that still had to be developed and stuff, but I think he's carried the torch since then pretty well. I think that we got kind of lucky on that one.
Yeah, we tried out a couple other people, and nothing really stuck, and we liked Brett the best as a person, and he wanted to do it, he wanted to try it, so obviously that goes in with how much time we spent working on stuff before we jumped right into shows. But yeah, right before, we thought he was at least at a place where he was comfortable with his vocals, and he could do it, but he was still obviously very
Anxious all around.
Yeah, just getting up on stage, that first show really kept to himself, and then, since then we've seen him move out, get into the crowd, fall down on people and start,
start mosh pits,
Yeah, because the last show that I saw you guys at, it was from seeing the first to the last, it was like oil and water. Nothing was the same, and I definitely saw a major growth. There was a lot more of a raspy, screech.
Yeah, he's
bellowing at times than how he started out, because we all know Brett's music preferences. Hope you're watching this, Brett, because I am going to talk shit about your music preferences. We all did before.
Yeah.
But he definitely sounded like a whiny scenester.
A little bit, but again, that's just with not focusing on, or not being able to focus when, it's your first time being a vocalist. And up in front of people.
He's definitely grown into his own, and that's one thing that I was very happy to see at the last show. So.
Yeah, we encourage him to just do whatever weird shit he wants to on stage. Just just make
You're the
yourself stand
vocalist.
out.
Whip
right?
out your dick and just see what happens.
Yeah.
So, Alex, you told me that you work at a film rental place, and they got a nice adult section in there. Out of curiosity, what are like the 3 worst titles you think that you have at that place?
God, if anybody important's watching and I lose my job over this, I probably won't. But my personal favorite is Jurassic Cox 5. That's just a favorite of mine. Let's see. Slant Eye Bitches. Very insensitive, but...
Slightly.
And, oh, my new Black Stepdad just stands out.
Let's do one band from each of you that you think should just hang it up.
Oh, God.
Alright, I'm going to say this because this was in the news, and this goes with it. Alright, AC/DC, like, okay, the first CD I ever went out and bought was an AC/DC CD, High Voltage. I'm just going to say, okay, yeah, see, here we go. No, but, alright, so,
You had it
I
coming.
want to say it was either their drummer or their bassist, whoever didn't get arrested for murder last year, I guess that he's hanging it up. I guess that he's calling it good now. After this tour with Axl Rose, don't even ask me how I feel about that guy.
He
or
didn't
that.
do as bad as
Okay.
I expected.
But
okay?
yeah,
But he did
I guess
pretty fucking
I guess he's
terrible.
hanging it up too.
Yeah.
So I think that we're about to see the end of AC/DC, and honestly, I think it's time. Like like they say, people say that we've written 10 albums that all sound exactly the same. I'll have them know we've written 11 that sound exactly the same.
Yeah.
At least they're taking claim to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was on his shirt.
No, they're already done. You can't say Bone Dance. They quit a few years ago, unfortunately.
Really, he attacks yours, and
Yeah,
you gotta
yeah.
attack his.
I wasn't even attacking it. I was just saying it sounds like they were gonna.
There's plenty of them that I just am not a fan of.
Perhaps Hell Yeah?
I don't like it. That's very true.
Didn't I already kind of ream that enough and just beat the dead horse?
Right. Yeah. I mean, if we're playing off the same like old bands that are pushing it too far, I mean, I know Guns N' Roses is doing their new tour with everybody in it. Same with like Van Halen. If Eddie and David Lee Roth can't get along anymore, like a lot of them just need to leave the good music where it was. If that,
Yeah.
because like most of the newest albums put out by all those bands suck.
If I could interject on one thing, do you guys honestly feel like there are some bands that strictly are meant for their era? Like, there are albums that are before our time that keep going through the generations and they're still fucking prolific.
Definitely.
But I truly do think a lot of the bands that still somehow maintain some relevance, they have no real place anymore. They don't change, they just kind of are stuck in the glory years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess there's some bands that doesn't seem like they really should be carrying on, or it doesn't seem like it's really saying. All right, take John Fogerty for instance, the guitarist and vocalist from Creedence Clearwater Revival. Best '69 Woodstock band ever, hands down. And then after his whole band, left because he was saying he could do just as well on his own. Then he went out and he was just as famous and stuff. But I still don't think that the songs made after the Creedence era necessarily as memorable or nostalgic as, Born on the Bayou or Good Golly Miss Molly or some of those old songs. Now we're getting way back into the days, but,
Well, hey, it's where it all originates.
yeah. But I'm happy that John Fogerty kept making music. I'm just saying it wasn't as good. And I feel like his Creedence Clearwater Revisited stuff that he does kind of could have just stayed in the 60s, but that's just me.
Is there anything you want to say to anyone out there that hasn't heard of Guilty of Treason yet?
I would say we've got videos on YouTube if you want to get a feel for our sound. They're from our second show ever that we did at the Wedge in Waterloo, Iowa. Just go on YouTube and put in Guilty of Treason Numb, or what's the other?
Last Breath.
Oh yeah, Guilty of Treason Last Breath. Make sure to put in the titles of the songs, otherwise it'll bring up a movie from the 1950s.
It will.
Is it a good movie?
I don't know, I didn't watch it. I mean, it's called Guilty of Treason. I'm sure
Well,
it's
now,
great.
now I'm
but-
kind of tempted to go check it out just to see if it's any good.
But yeah, I mean, we're a bunch of metalheads just like every other metal band that exists everywhere. But, we like doing what we're doing, and we're going to keep doing it, so.
Get out there and support the bands around you.
Yes,
It means everything to them.
support local.
And if you don't
music.
find any, make your own.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for us here at That One Metal Blog. This has been Alex and Emery from Guilty of Treason. Hope you check out their music, and also make sure you guys subscribe to That One Metal Blog, the channel down here. You all have a nice day, and of course, stay metal.